I've been having this very weird mind fog lately, and I guess it's because of just being overwhelmed with adult life. I have to try and worry about taxes, about maintaining relationships, and working a job that I think is pretty dog shit. So, with all that kind of just being a constant thing in my life that I'm attending to, so, in order to kind of reset and just get away from my problems, I'm going to talk about something completely unrelated for a couple minutes, which is this bad boy back here, this Insignia 20-inch CRT, which I purchased during the latter end of 2024. I just wanted to kind of make a video to basically talk about my experience with it and just to get into some overall retro gaming stuff in general. It's going to be a pretty low-key kind of video, no heavy edits, nothing too crazy, no script. Just, me chatting with you for a bit. And if that's something you think would be kind of cool, then, well, you're in for a good one. Ever since I was a kid, I was always kind of infatuated with the idea of owning a large collection of older video games, not exactly retro in the sense of NES and Super Nintendo, but mainly things like the PS2 and Xbox and the Wii era, because is what I was born into. I was born back in 2001. So basically, as I was growing up, the height of the seventh generation of consoles was pretty much at its peak. And as a kid, you don't really have a way to make your own money. And I wasn't really too conscious about everything that was happening in that era because, again, it was so early on in my life, and there were things that, I just couldn't really experience without, being introduced to it by my parents or my older brother. It really is something about that early 2000s era that is just so intriguing to me because I grew up and like other people in my generation also had this experience of we kind of had the best of both worlds where, we were growing into the technology age and we saw all these advancements one after another. Online gaming was becoming more prominent. Smartphones were popping up every other year pretty much. YouTube was coming out and hitting its stride. But also I have memories of being at a Blockbuster or going to a Hollywood Video and buying movies and video games and renting them and having to return them. And just all these novelty things that pretty much don't exist anymore. We still got places like GameStop, but that's basically a pop figure store at this point. You want to go buy a Minecraft sword or a shirt or something, then you pull up to GameStop. And yeah, so I just have a lot of nostalgia from that time period, and that's kind of why as an adult now I'm kind of trying to buy all the stuff I missed out on pretty much during that era, especially PS2 games, because again, a bunch of these came out when I was a toddler. I knew about the Dragon Ball games and whatever I would see when we walked into certain stores, but at the time I had no idea what a fucking Final Fantasy X was. I probably didn't even grasp the concept of the word final or fantasy at that point. But I have it now, and it's a pretty good game. I bought a CRT mainly because I wanted to experience a lot of these games within their original context, with how they're originally meant to be played. Because how I did it before is that I bought a HDMI converter, which I would plug into the PS2 and then have that go into my TV, and that's how I would play a lot of these older games. But again, if you ask anyone that has played retro games and who has that as a hobby, then they would tell you that is probably the worst way to play pretty much anything from that era, because, well, number one, you're going to have massive input delay because your PS2 is going into a converter, which then goes towards your TV. So you have three separate things that are all connected. And then for certain games you play, it could really become a hassle. But again, you want to play with as low latency as possible. And then number two, the most important thing is the picture quality. When you're playing a lot of these older games on a CRT, the quality is a lot better because the colors are more rich and they pop out more. And again, it's because like this was the way these games were made, and it's the intended way to play a lot of them. So a person may ask, well, I could get the same effect if I just emulate the game and upscale it, which, yeah, that's true. But again, I'm aiming for a more authentic experience, and having a TV right in front of me and with a controller in my hand is authentic as you can get at this point, to be honest. And I'm not knocking anyone who emulates, because emulation is a great tool for game preservation, and it's a great alternative if you don't have easy access to whatever game you want to play. Like, if you want to try and buy one of the older Pokemon games on like the like DS or something, like Pokemon Black 2, you're paying upwards of like $100 or more, and I'm not doing that for that game at fucking all. So I can completely understand why emulation is, like the main source for people. But me personally, I try to get as close to the original kind of experience as possible, within reason, of course. More on the TV, though, I purchased this 20-inch Insignia TV from eBay for about $200, give or take, and it came in really great condition, too. Like, this junk looks pristine, and I don't even think my camera is doing it justice. Like, it looks great. But are there any technical reasons on why I bought this TV over others? Is there something about it compared to the others that really stands out? Well, yes, there is. It has a fucking DVD player. I was so excited when I saw this on the eBay listing because I own so many shows and movies on DVD still, and seeing them in their intended aspect ratio is really a treat. And it really just puts into perspective for me just how long 4:3 ratio was used as like a universal aspect ratio for a long time. Okay, so boom, here's what's on the CRT besides the DVD player as mentioned before. In the front, you have your standard composite inputs, so your yellow, white, and red wires will all go up here. In the back, you have your coaxial input. I think coaxial is the devil. I do not want to screw in the cable, so I'm not even going to bother with this. A lot of older consoles have coaxial outputs, which, I mean, is cool. And that is my CRT. This was a purchase that I was excited about for a while, and when I was finally able, to order it and carry it upstairs, it was worth every penny. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, I guess, discussion video or whatever you want to call it. I'm mainly over on my Geo Filmworks channel where I talk about movies these days, but I would still be interested in making more niche like videos about like gaming topics or just whatever randomness I can think of at the time. Because, I have a small audience on this channel, I feel like still, and if that's content you guys would, be cool with checking out, then I'll make it. If not, then there's no biggie. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. I think that was my outro. I don't know, it's been a while since I uploaded here, so I don't know what I used to say. But peace.